that you want my take on, you can go ahead and click the link in the description below under the virtual tip jar. All right, now back to the pod. All right, we're back with Matt from SpursFanblog.com. Matt, like we're talking about before we went on break, DeMar and LaMarcus, there are 1-2 punch. They're the guys that we're going to ride all season long. Is that good enough? Do you think it's good enough? Do you see them in our long-term plans? Because there's so many decisions that need to be made post the decision of, is DeMar coming back? Is LaMarcus going to re-sign with us? Do we want LaMarcus after next season? So many possibilities that can come after that decision is made. But from these past 2 years of basketball that we've seen, what are your thoughts on the whole DeMar DeRozan and LaMarcus Aldridge situation, or tandem in general?
Right. Yeah, it's a very interesting situation, and it goes back to what I said, how important and crucial this offseason is. And I'm extremely intrigued to see what the front office is going to do. There are options, and I have, our last article that I wrote was, what should the Spurs do with DeMar and LaMarcus? And obviously, the first option is, re-sign DeMar, extend LaMarcus after next season, or you extend DeMar, trade LaMarcus, extend LaMarcus or trade DeMar, or you keep both. And, there's pros and cons to each of those situations. Personally, for me, I think if you're going to let one of them go, this is just my opinion. A lot of people might disagree with me. I prefer to keep Aldridge and trade DeMar if you're not able to extend him. I think DeMar is still young and has a lot of trade value, can get back a lot. And LaMarcus is a power forward center position, so he's not taking reps away from guys like Kelvin and Lonnie, and DeJounte and Derek. And, he's been with his team longer. I think that LaMarcus has been a little underappreciated by Spurs fans. I think
absolutely.
After that,
absolutely has.
Yeah. I think after that 2016-17 season when he demanded a trade, that surprised me like everyone else. I was just kind of like, he just went on 260-win teams. Like, it didn't make any sense. But after that, he turned it around. He had the top of pop, and he's been a beast since. Obviously, he's been a little consistent here and there, but he's been, he made an all-star team in 2018 and 19, been an all-NBA player. Like, he's been a beast. And I still think you need a beast like that down low. I don't think Jakob's there yet. I think he's a great rim protector, but he's not really giving you much of an offensive presence, and I think you still need that. I like DeMar, too. I think he's, again, like LaMarcus, I think he's been a little underappreciated. I mean, I've been critical of him at times, of course, too, like everyone. But so I think if you're able to keep both, I'm not entirely against it, but you need to work the lineup better around them. You need to be more careful and precise about who you're giving minutes to. It's like we talked about earlier, like putting Bryn Forbes alongside DeMar DeRozan for, 25-plus minutes a night is going to spell disasters on the defensive end. I think if we saw more lineups with, Derek and DeJounte, Lonnie and Derek, or Lonnie and DeJounte, and even more minutes to Keldon Johnson at the 3 instead of DeMar, I think you're going to see defensive improvements. I think you're going to see more versatility on the perimeter. So just to answer your question, I mean, if the Spurs are going to get rid of one of them, and like that's inevitable, I prefer to get rid of DeMar and keep LaMarcus for, short term and long term. But if Spurs fans disagree, I understand DeMar is younger. DeMarcus is going to be 35 next year. I've heard people say that DeMar is loved by the young guys. I don't know how true that is. And there have also been rumors that DeMar is unhappy here, and he denied those rumors. So it's a really it's a really polarizing topic. I mean, I've seen a lot of Spurs fans completely disagree. I mean, I posted about it on a Facebook page, and the first comment was like trade LaMarcus, and the second one was trade DeMar. So it's like everybody has their own opinion on it.
Yeah.
And it's like I said, this offseason is going to be very interesting, and I don't know what the front office is going to do. I mean, nobody does.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that everything you said is absolutely right. I agree with keeping LaMarcus Aldridge. I think moving forward, he's the type of center that we can still have around for about 3-4 more years, especially if he tends to step outside the 3 like he did a little bit in flashes this season, and he did it extremely well. It's just so confusing, man, this year. It's like, okay, we had a really good stretch of competitive basketball, and that's like when we played Boston and Milwaukee twice, like that little, week and a half, 2 weeks that we were playing very well, where LaMarcus was stepping outside, knocking down three after three after three. Obviously, he's not going to shoot it that consistently the whole year, but that gave us a very competitive look. It opened up things for DeMar DeRozan, but it will open up, lanes for everybody, DeMar or whoever's there, Lonnie Walker, whoever needs to play. But I like what you said about DeMar. If we keep him, he takes minutes away from what we've been building, what we've been nurturing, in this little incubator in Austin for so long. It can only stay in that incubator for, whatever we're trying to cook up for so long before we have to let it out in the world and let it do its thing, let it develop, let it grow. And I think we're at that point now with Lonnie Walker, Keldon, Quindary, like you said, is not to be taken lightly. I think he's probably our best player in Austin this year. Just a 4-year guy coming out of college. He's just ready to go, and he's taking steps forward this season in Austin. And then you have guys like Derek White. Dude, I was looking at it today. Do you know that Derek White gets paid the second least on this roster? Do you know that?
I do not, but that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, this season, he only made more money than Chimezi Metu. That's it. My God. Now, next year, he's going to go up a little bit, but this is what I'm saying. It's like, okay, you have all this young talent who you're going to start paying more and more money to as the years go on. Talking about, we locked up DeJounte Murray. We have Keldon Johnson, who's gonna need to get paid for a long time in San Antonio. Hopefully not, max contracts or anything like that, but something friendly. But these guys need to get more minutes, and DeMar is just kind of in the way. Now, I'm gonna say something here that I know a lot of people probably won't agree with, and that's, I think that they both need to go, and I don't say that in a angry way or an ugly way or get them out of here, they suck. No, they've been great for us for the past 2 seasons. They've had unbelievable statistical careers shooting from the mid-range. It's not a recipe for winning basketball, and I think we've seen that already with if we're going to be starting the same type of lineups and have that stubborn mentality of not willingness or not having the ability to play with your lineups, and it's just going to be DeJounte, Bryn, LaMarcus, and DeMar DeRozan, I don't think that's good enough. So I think the real answer is that post 2020, 2021 season, which is next year, they both need to go. And I think we need to look towards the future. I think we need to give Jakob more responsibility, ask more of him. I agree with you. He's not really there yet to be a starting player, at least to be an X factor on the floor. But if I had to pick one, I would pick LaMarcus. I agree. I just don't think DeMar DeRozan is a Spur type player. And I know I'm getting into personality, stuff like that, stuff that doesn't really factor into what happens on the court, but it does with DeMar. A lot of times you can separate personality and basketball, but we all know about, DeMar's temper, and he lets his temper affect basketball games, affect the outcome of basketball games, which wins and losses. And that's something that I have a huge problem with over here. Any last thoughts? Last thoughts on those two guys before we move on?
Yeah, just another thing about DeMar versus LA. LA contributes, and he has the ability to contribute in a lot of ways that don't involve the basketball.
Mm-hmm.
I know people don't really notice this, but he's been a pretty darn good defender the past couple of seasons.
Yeah.
He's improved his rim protection. His rebounding's been fine. I mean, people are gonna point out like one game where he had like 3 rebounds or 2 rebounds. It's like, okay, well, yeah, one of every 40 games he's gonna have kind of one of those games. But
yeah,
he doesn't need the ball to be a productive player. And DeMar, I watched him for a long time now, the past couple of years, and he's not a guy that plays well off the ball.
Mm-hmm.
He's not like a Bryn Forbes, Marco Bellinelli that's going to run around and wait to spot up shoot. That's just not his game. he needs to have the ball in his hands to be productive on offense. Now, when he has the ball in his hands, he can be very good. He can take over a game anytime. He's an excellent facilitator. He's an efficient shooter. But it's like we said, like he's going to take minutes and reps away from, guys like Keldon Johnson and Lonnie Walker. Mm-hmm. And I agree with you with his temperament and, the technicals. I mean, he's a great guy. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I love that he's a Spur, but I agree. Like, whenever he gets so many, it feels like he just gets so many technicals, and it just kills any momentum that we might have had or not had at the moment. Mm-hmm. And it's just it's frustrating as a fan to watch, because it's like you're just giving the team free points. And I understand he deserves more respect from the officials, but I don't think you're going to get it that way. And so that's just another reason why I think if you're going to get rid of one of them, I think it'd be DeMar. But like I said, it's going to be on the front office and what they think is the best for this team moving forward. They might, get rid of both. They might keep one. They might keep both. It's just with the Spurs, you don't know what they're going to do. Nobody does.
Yeah, and it's Brian Wright, right? He's our new GM, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah, he's got his plate full. He's got some big decisions in front of him that he's going to have to make this offseason, starting with, are we going to bring back Bryn Forbes and Jakob Poeltl? Hopefully we can keep Jakob around here for a long time. I think he's another guy that's just waiting to develop. I think this season he was given a little bit more opportunity to show that he can do a few different things than just rim run, and he showed us that he can be versatile with the ball in his hands. He can be a passer. He can finish he can pass the ball in the half court. He can push the break himself. He started grabbing that rebound and just taking off with it and not turning it over. That was a good look for us, I think, for a little while. So there's still so much potential in these young guys that I think ultimately LaMarcus Aldridge and DeMar DeRozan are gonna have to fade away into the sunset to see these young guns step up to the plate. But rolling into that conversation